town of Hawkins, Indiana was fairly ordinary after the events of Stranger Things were all said and done. The kids were going about their normal, peaceful lives. But of course, something had to go horribly wrong eventually. Scientists in the town had kept tampering with forces they didn't really understand, and would once again pay the price. In the sky, there was a sudden rip in time and space. Coming from outside our universe was the triangular dream demon, Bill Cipher.
Yes! I'm finally free from my prison! The event 1 billion years prophesied had come to pass! Now time to wreak some havoc!
Bill laughed as he rubbed his two hands together mischievously. Bill was delighted to see many citizens running away screaming, but was disappointed to find out that the townsfolk weren't screaming at him, they were screaming at the much larger monster behind him. It was indeed it. But for simplicity's sake, we'll call him Pennywise. The evil being came in the form of a giant clown, crushing buildings with his foot, and even stomping on some poor people who couldn't run away fast enough. Bill frowned. Well, as much as he could. As he floated up to Pennywise's eye.
Hey! Bug off, clown! This is my town to crush!
Pennywise merely smiled upon seeing the rather small triangle. You're going to crush this town? Ha! You're a little too ambitious, Stort Stuff! Ha! You pathetic two-dimensional weakling! Bill's skin quickly turned red as he screamed,
Two-dimensional!
Bill proceeded to grow giant and red to match the size of his foe. Bill followed this up by summoning flames all around the town.
I'll reassemble your molecules!
Pennywise proceeded to form boxing gloves on his arms as he took a standoffish stance. Bring it on, Triangle Man! I'll teach you how to float! The kids from Stranger Things saw the entire interaction take place and stood in awe as the cosmic showdown was about to begin. Eventually, one kid spoke. Ah, shit. Not again. Given the similarity of the three series scenarios, I think the real solution is to add a fourth similar scenario and have Earthbound in this all of a sudden. No, not really. But on to what I really think. Bill Cipher and Pennywise are both powerful entities with similar powers, enacting similar destructive plans. But I think the main thing driving this whole thing will be mentality, in many senses of the word. And in my opinion, Bill has it. Both played the long game, hiding out throughout their stories, but the difference is that Bill was doing things like making deals and entering people's minds, finding out about the area and people around him before enacting his final plan. While Pennywise mostly manipulated the game to just make it to where adults of the town ignored him, and also making it to where he only had to fight kids. Bill enacts general reality warping and manipulation to attain his goals, whereas Pennywise is singularly focused on fear and picking on people who are smaller than him. And even then, those loser kids eventually banded together and beat the shit out of it, making them go back to sleep for 27 some odd years. They didn't even have to research how to do it back then, just that he came around every 27 years. And that wasn't the thing that defeated it initially. They just figured it out as they went along, and when they had to research something for the next time, they had a 27-year head start. If Bill draws him back once, then has a 27-year head start, then that's even better for a more powerful entity like him. More powerful than the kids, I mean. Well, meanwhile, Bill Cipher was defeated through actual research and planning on part of the Mystery Shack crew. And even before that, Bill had already basically won, at least briefly, and their victory was basically by the skin of their teeth. Now let's consider these two approaches against each other. Bill Cipher is not going to be scared nearly as easily by Pennywise's horror movie, novel, whatever tactics. And most of what Pennywise has normally shown, Bill has seen before. I don't think Pennywise will get to snack on Doritos. Oh boy.
I'll say this. While Pennywise plays around, so does Bill. Bill's about as cocky as Pennywise is, likely even more so, actually. If I recall, Bill was defeated by Mabel because she tricked him into chasing after him, which tired out his body. Then he got tricked by Stan and Stanford swapping clothes. I mean, come on! Stanford has 6 fingers and Stanley only has 5. You shook his hand! How did you not notice that? Bill is easy to trick is what I'm saying. More so than It, who I don't ever recall being truly fooled. In terms of fear, while Bill is certainly a messed up mind, he does fear death. That much is obvious as shown when Bill is dying at the hands of Stan. So, if Pennywise ever made Bill feel threatened, which is possible considering he and Bill are on the same level, Bill would suddenly grow some fear, which Pennywise could feed off of. Both Bill and Pennywise are pretty much on an even playing field when it comes to their power. Both have the power to bring an end to our very universe. Both also have the ability to break reality and bend it to their will, allowing them to do basically anything. However, what Bill doesn't share with Pennywise is the Deadlights. By merely staring Bill in his eye, which by the way is most of his body, Pennywise can rob Bill of his conscious mind. If Bill has no mind to speak of, how's he going to outsmart Pennywise? Well, I already have my doubts that he could outsmart Pennywise even without losing his mind, but without any conscience left, Bill might as well be a statue. Bill Cipher is a very threatening being, but above being terrifying, Bill's very sure of himself. In fact, he's so sure of himself that the moment things begin to look even slightly bad for him, he loses it and panics. In a fight against someone he's equal to in terms of power, he'll most likely lose his cool very early on. Meanwhile, Pennywise is known to straight up hate his equal Maturin, but he certainly doesn't fear the turtle who is on his level. By the way, while it's true that old Pennywise is ultimately defeated by the Losers Club twice, it was only thanks to the ritual of the Chud, wherein which they had to call upon Gan, the creator of the Stephen King multiverse. That's right, it took a multiversal entity to bring an end to Pennywise. What's Bill gonna do? Likely, he'll be floating soon. Oh wait, Bill's always floating. Fuck! You know what I mean.
To your first point, even with these happenstances for the Mystery Shack crew, again, they only barely won. If they had made maybe one or two more wrong decisions, they could have screwed up things majorly, and Bill could have gone even further. Plus, these were people who had numerous objects and rituals all in place, and many of them had been studying the supernatural for months, or even years. The kids from Derry, again, just figured out how to do it, and in the second case, were backed up by Gan, like you said. Which brings me to another point. When it comes to going up against other high-powered beings, Bill's the only one who has any sort of track record. Pennywise has the rival of Maturin, a cosmic turtle. Yes, really. And it did confirm that Maturin did die later, but it was never confirmed that it did anything to cause that death. And then Gan whooped its ass, though to be fair, Gan is basically God. But still, this record shows one not exactly a fight and a hard loss. Bill, on the other hand, casually destroyed Time Baby, who has control over, well, time and space. Only one of these beings has a hard win in such a situation. You bring up the Deadlights, but one, it's not going to be 100% the first thing it goes to, and two, regular kids can be snapped out of it. Meanwhile, Bill has a rather versatile set of mental abilities he can use to deal with Pennywise. He can go into dreams, he can see into the future, and basically knows about all conspiracies and other supernatural occurrences, meaning he could easily gain knowledge on it. Plus he can enter minds and take them as well, although at the point where he's physical, which is the case here, he'd have to make a deal. But even Pennywise has his doubts and vices, and of the two, Bill's the only one who would really have something to offer. Through this, he could find ways to trick or exploit Pennywise's weaknesses, or offer Pennywise some position of power or allow the baby to have his bottle for a bit, so to speak, distracting it and leaving him occupied. To draw a sort of odd comparison, I'd liken this to what I heard someone say about a hypothetical Muhammad Ali versus Mike Tyson fight. Ali would win if he plays it smart, and can let it go long in a way that exhausts Tyson. But if Tyson gets in early, hits Ali hard, and wears Ali down quick, then he'd get the win. Not to mention that both have ways to psych people out, with Ali's taunting and Tyson's intimidation. Bill has manipulation and taunting down, and can exploit the long, drawn-out circumstances Pennywise usually likes to use. But like Ali with Tyson, Pennywise doesn't have much that Bill's never seen. Pennywise, if he were smarter, could play it like Tyson, and since it's arguable on who is more powerful ultimately, given how abstract both can be, it could work. But that's not how Pennywise plays it, ever. It tries to catch people off guard, manipulate the circumstances around them before they even know it's around, and pick on opponents who are unprepared or distracted in some way. It's Tyson trying to play it like Ali, and it doesn't work for it in the long run.
Fair enough, but here's my argument. While it's true that Pennywise spent most of his time hiding while Bill spent his time scheming, that's only because they both had different goals in mind. Pennywise has never wanted to rule the world or anything like that. He just wants a bunch of kids to snack on before he goes back to sleep. If it wanted to rule the world, it could. Now, while the kids did manage to deal with Pennywise and send him back to slumber via, well, pretty much just kicking his ass, that was in his standard form. What we're dealing with in this battle is Pennywise's true form, something those kids luckily never had to face with a pipe. It was always the ritual of Chud that brought an end to it anyways, not simple brute force, and Bill isn't the type of guy to resort to performing rituals. People perform rituals for him, and Bill likely won't think to use another entity until it's way too late, like how he called upon the axolotl to invoke that he'd return when he was dying. Now sure, as you said, Bill probably won't be scared by something like a mummy or a deformed painting come to life, In fact, knowing Bill, he'd probably become friends with both of those. But that's not what I believe will bring Bill to his fear. I believe that fear is going to come from the threat of death. Bill made it very clear in his final confrontation of Stan that he was willing to do anything to avoid his demise. If someone like It has the possibility to end Bill, that'll be enough to strike fear into Bill's heart. Sure, Bill does have the better track record here, considering he killed Time Baby, but the Time Baby's only notable quality is being able to control time across the universe. Certainly a powerful foe, but not a very godlike one. It's not like the Time Baby can warp reality. It can. So comparing the two and saying Bill should beat It because he one-shot the Time Baby is a moot point. Time Baby couldn't do much to fight back against Bill, but It can. When it comes to offering It a deal, I highly doubt Pennywise will take the bait. Pennywise is very arrogant and full of himself. There's no way he'd make a deal with someone who he'd likely view as inferior to him. There really isn't a whole lot Bill has to offer Pennywise anyways. More kids to eat? In this scenario, he's free and in his true form. He can have as many kids as he wants already. The only thing preventing him from his snacks is a big triangle who seems like a threat. In the end, Bill Cipher is probably going to lose his cool, and thus won't be able to perform his powers very well. He'll crack under pressure, become afraid, and that's just what Pennywise will use to his advantage before snacking on Bill.
So there be the arguments for this one.
As usual, we implore you to vote on who should win and leave your predictions on who should ultimately come out on top in this cosmic brawl.
Leave them in the comments below or even in a YouTube video response. Be funny, be creative, and try to convince either of us whether we're right or wrong. Maybe even give a play-by-play of how you think it'd go down. You'll float! You'll all float!